Hey everyone, what's happening? It's Mr. Brown in the industry. We're finally getting started here, our debut on YouTube. So I've been teasing everybody for months and months on Instagram. So here we are. How I got started with this channel is that I've been in the industry for a long, long time. We'll get into that a little bit later, over 40 years. But the last 2 or 3 years, any of you guys who are involved with the industry in any capacity, it's been extremely slow. A lot of things have kind of gone off the rails, and it's just been a tough time. So instead of just sitting around, my agents, there's nothing going on, no auditions. They're doing the best they can. And I'm lucky, I have 4 different agents in various cities. So I figure, you know what, if they can't do it, let me see what I can do myself. So here we are. And this channel is based on, questions that I get over the years or even currently now. And the fact that I've been in the business for so long, I don't have all the answers, but hopefully I can guide some of the younger people, newer people to the industry in the right direction. So a little bit about me. Like I said, I've been in the business over 40 years. I started in my early 20s, about 21, 22, and that was in the late 80s. I think about 85, 86, somewhere around there. But I got into the business by accident. I was serving in the military, and I was living partially in San Francisco and San Diego. Had a girlfriend up in San Francisco, so I would go up and see her. And a lot of strange things happened over like a 6-month period. People kept asking me if I was in the industry, are you a professional model, blah, blah, blah. Of course, 21 years old, you're looking your best, and things were kind of, good. So anyway, she, being the smart woman that she is, she looked into the industry because I had no idea what it was about. I went out of the country to do some stuff with the military and then came back, and she had done some research and found out, a lot of things about the industry. So I said, okay, well, let's check it out. Back in those days, you could actually make a phone call, talk to somebody on the phone, and have an appointment and go in. It's much different now. You usually have to go online and submit your photos and videos and all that stuff. And good luck with them, getting back to you right away. But most agencies, to be fair, are pretty good. But anyway, I went in. They liked me right off the bat. Keep in mind, I'm totally green. I'm in the military, and I have no idea what this is about. I'm just winging it, and my girlfriend's kind of leading the way. So they signed me on the spot. You're going to do commercials. I'm like, okay, whatever that meant. That's how green I was. I didn't even really know it was going to be on television. That's how, 21-year-old young man. And then I was doing a lot of work, print work. Okay, you're going to work with Macy's and Nordstrom's and all these big name, clothing companies back in the day. So anyway, they signed me up. No money up front. This is a legitimate agency, and they wanted me to get some headshots. So I went and did that, and I'm just following the leader. So things get going, and then I start getting phone calls. Hey, Steven, you got a go see. And I'm like, what's a go see? Go see this person over here. It's called an audition. So I would go and meet with, whoever it was. And, they would ask me to do this, do that, or whatever. And evidently, whatever I was doing, they liked it. So I was booking jobs. And I'm thinking, okay, this is crazy. One of the first jobs I got was in San Francisco, and it was on Divisadero Street. And it was for the oldest African-American church in the city. And I showed up, and it was a print job. I wore a suit, but anyway, it went well, I guess. The photographer was nice. We got along. We had lunch, the whole thing. But little did I know that was going to be in the Sunday paper like in a week or so. So I got paid. That's all I was worried about. 21-year-old man. I got some money, and I'm doing my thing. And Sunday morning, I got a call from my mother at the time, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm just hanging out." She says, "You're in the newspaper." And I'm like, "What?" She goes, "You're in the newspaper." And I go, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Go get the Sunday paper and check it out." So anyway, I hung up with her, went down the street, grabbed the paper, and sure enough, there I was, all spread out. They did a big spread on this African-American church. And wow, the phone's ringing. I'm hearing from people I haven't heard from in forever. But anyway, it's a little bit overwhelming. So that's how I kind of got introduced to the print side of the business. And then the commercial part, I started going on auditions for commercials. And again, I had no clue what I was doing. And I would show up, they'd tell me do this, do that. And, it's like, different themes, different whatever. And I'd read the script, or I'd stand over here, stand over there. And, I was doing what I was told. Evidently, the stars were lined up and I was doing whatever they they liked. So I got hired. Make a long story short, I think within, was it a 6-month period? So many years ago, but I know it wasn't that long of a period of time. I booked not one, but 4 national commercials. And I still didn't have a clue. My agent called me in, the whole agency. I walked through the door and they're congratulating me and I'm getting hugs and I'm like, I have no clue. Like, who are these people? What's going on, So anyway, I'm just going along, fake it till you make it, right? And I said, okay, everything's cool. It didn't really dawn on me what this is all about until I started getting residuals, royalties. So every time a commercial runs, and these were national commercials, so it's running all over the whole nation, country, whatever you want to call it, and these checks start coming in. So, the mailman shows up, he drops off my mail, and I start seeing these envelopes, and at that time, they would put them with, envelopes had a little window, and I'm thinking, oh man, is this a bill? So I started opening up, and it was ridiculous, the amount of money you were making with these royalties or residuals, So I got scared. I'm thinking, oh my God, somebody sent me the money. This is supposed to go to my agent, because I had got my session fee for that day of shooting the commercial. I didn't realize I was going to get royalties. So I call up my agent, and who's still in San Francisco, stars the agency, Lynn Claxon, and her kids, our adult kids who run the business now. Thank you to her many years ago, and I'm still in touch with her. But yeah, she's laughing at the other end of the line. She thinks it's hilarious. She said, "No, Stephen, that's your money, and you earned that." And I was just stunned. I'm like, what? This is absolutely insane. So, make a long story short, that was my introductory to the business. So I've had a lot of success for many years, but the other side of the coin is that it's a feast or famine business. So I've had years where nothing happened. I mean, no matter what you put out there, how good of talent you are, what you look like, what you wear, sometimes you're just not the flavor of the month, and that's a tough pill to swallow. Also, going on the auditions, for some reason, I would go on the auditions, go in and go out, and by the time I was by the parking lot or to my car, I'd already forgotten what was going on. I was on with my life, and I saw a lot of people who would get upset if they didn't get picked for a particular part or commercial or print job, and it would just tear their hearts out. And I just never understood that. Once you go in, do your audition, it's over. It's in the hands of other people, so you've done the best you could. You got to move on and keep going. You can't get hung up and hope and pray that all these people call, and they don't. So you get your heart broken. That's not a good feeling. So luckily, I was wired in the right way where that wasn't a big problem. So yeah, I've been around a long time. That was in San Francisco. I've been in LA now for what? About 25 years. So, and my success rate down here has been very, very, very minimal. I've had jobs here and there, but not like I had in my earlier years. And, I finally dropped out of the business. I just said, you know what? It's not happening for me. Let me go do something else. And ironically enough, during COVID, I got a random phone call at the beginning of COVID. And at the time, my girlfriend picked up the phone and she said, "It's for you." And I said, "Well, who is it?" And she said, "It's a modeling agency." And I'm like, "Modeling agency? Why are they calling right now? This is crazy. We're in the middle of the pandemic." So I answered the phone and they're telling me, "We saw your photo here, there, or whatever." And I said, "Yeah, well, those photos, a little bit older and I'm kind of not in the business anymore." And they were asking me, "Well, do you look the same as you do in these photos?" And I said, I don't know. I haven't really been paying attention, what I look like versus that. I left the industry. So anyway, they asked, "Well, could you take some test photos and, send them to us?" And I'm like, no, I'm not really interested or whatever. And of course, my girlfriend at times like, "Yeah, he's interested. And she grabs the phone and I'm looking at her like, what? So anyway, make a long story short, we hang out, we go out and, in the yard and we take some photos with the iPhone and this and that, different clothes, the whole thing. I knew the drill very well. Send it back in. They represented me. They called me back with a contract. They sent me a contract in the middle of COVID. I'm thinking, this is insane, man. This is crazy. So that was the print side of the house, to do print work like magazines, billboards, that type of stuff. So I'm like, all right, we might as well go full blown. So I called the commercial agent I had worked for years ago to see if she was still around. And I was in luck. So I called her up, and Alicia, and she said, yeah, Stephen, what's going on? How are you? And I'm like, great, great. And I tell her what's going on. And she says, well, are you ready to come back to work? And I'm like, I guess so. She goes, what do you look like? I said, I don't know. So I sent her some photos, and she's like, great, sends me a contract. So this is how like crazy life is. In the middle of a pandemic, I get contracts to be a professional model. And check this out. I'm not a young man. I just turned 65 April of this year, 2026. I was 59 at the time. So I'm telling him, I'm 59. And they're like, oh, that's great because we're starting an older man's division. And I'm thinking, this is just crazy. I mean, you're talking about luck. So anyway, I got going with that, and I've had some success, but not a lot. I kind of got sick in that period of time. I'm not going to go into all those crazy details. But make a long story short, they stuck with me through that 4-year period of where I was sick. So I had gone through some surgeries and some other stuff. But anyway, here we are. So things have been a little quiet the last 3 years. We went through COVID, and then we went through a strike in the industry. I'm a member of the Screen Actors Guild. So I have 4 agents. I have 2 here in LA. I have 1 in San Diego, and I have 1 in San Francisco. And everything, nothing's happening. No auditions. The industry's kind of at a standstill. And a lot of people have left the industry, unfortunately, which is sad. But it makes room for other people who can wait it out, such as myself. So my agents, their hands are tied because nothing's going on. So I figure, if they can't do anything for me, let me try out social media, see what's going on here. Maybe I can gather an audience and help some younger people, or who knows, you never know until you try. So that's how this whole channel got started. So here we are, and enough about me. I'm going to answer some questions that people have asked me. The most recent questions, like, Stephen, hey, you've been around a long time, so what's going on? Do you know what's happening or whatever? No, I don't. I'm like everyone else. Hurry up and wait. I've been keeping myself in shape, practicing reading lines, working with other people, just, being prepared. So, when the industry does change, I'm ready to go. So the other question is, a lot of people, how do you get in the industry now? And actually, that's a little bit challenging because I joined so many years ago, and for what I understand now, you have to submit everything online. So whatever agency is going to represent you, if I was starting today, I would send out as many videos and resumes as possible. It's a hit and miss type of thing. So eventually somebody's going to say, hey, you know what? Call that person. I want to see them. I want to talk to them and see what they're about. So it's a numbers game. And I would submit as many videos as I could or can, and resumes. But in the meantime, keep yourself in shape. Learn how to read scripts. Learn how to be professional. When you go on an audition, you want to be there before it starts. You keep your mouth shut. Do whatever they ask you to do. Sometimes they'll allow you to improvise a little bit depending on who you're dealing with or whatever. But for the most part, it's pretty straightforward. But show up looking your best, however they want you to show up. Sometimes they'll want you, like for myself, sometimes they want me in a business suit. I've had jobs where they wanted me to be a doctor, so I actually have a white coat with a stethoscope. A coach, I have the whistle. So depending on whatever the audition is, try to be as prepared as possible. So also, what other questions? People were asking me, I think some of the guys were asking me about makeup. Do you wear makeup? Yes, I do. Everyone wears makeup in the industry. And the thing is, the reason why is for various reasons. Some people don't have an even complexion. So they'll apply that, or I have my own makeup because just want to make sure that when I do a job, I'm going to look my best. Sometimes they'll ask me to come in and makeup ready. Most of the time it'll be, they'll have a makeup artist there. But it's good to have your own makeup and know how it works and how to apply it and all that stuff, because sometimes you might be on a job and the makeup artist might not be there, or they may not have the right combination for your tone of skin. I have an interesting combination of skin colors, so I've gone to Sephora and Macy's over the years and had my own makeup made up, and you get your little applicator and you adapt yourself up, and it's pretty simple. So guys, don't be afraid to get your makeup made. Take your wife down there, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever you're into, and get your stuff made up and be professional. Headshots. People are like, oh, should I get headshots? Not unless your agent requests them. Don't go out and get a bunch of headshots and spend a lot of money, and then you go in and the agent says, I don't really like them. And you've already dropped $400 or $500, maybe $600 on headshots. When you go in, let them assess what you should look like or where they're going to place you. Depending on your age, how you look, your ethnicity, there's various ranges and various things they can, send you out on. So let them make that decision. They may want your hair short. They may want your hair long. They may want whatever. Facial hair, no facial hair. So let them make that decision for you. Also, what's the other one? You've got to have thick skin to be in this business. And what I mean by that, it is a lot of rejection. Not everybody's going to hire you. Not everyone's going to like you. And I'm not saying it's a hostile business, but it's a lot of rejection. So if you have a problem with rejection, business-wise, and I'm talking personal-wise or relationships, I get that. But when you go in for an audition, do exactly what they ask. Go in and leave and go on with your life. If you can't do that without being hung up about, are they going to call me? Am I going to get a call back or whatever? And when it doesn't happen, you get upset. You might want to try another line of business, because there's a lot of rejection. And then on the other flip side, like I said, I landed in a pot of gold when I started. So you never know what's gonna, fall your way. I've been on auditions where I thought I blew the audition and they loved it. And there was other times where I thought I had nailed it and I didn't. So there's times where I've even shot the commercial, and this is a big mistake. I started spending money before it started coming in. And guess what? 2 weeks later, I got a notice in the mail that I had been edited out of the commercial. Ooh, that hurt. And that was a big lesson I had to learn, the expensive way. But anyway, on a more positive note, the business is a lot of fun. Depending on what you're doing, you can make the best of it. I've had a lot of fun over the years. And like I said, there's been years where it's been just absolutely nothing happening. So in the meantime, if you don't, plan on staying in the business, go on and do your thing. But if you do plan on staying in the business, be prepared. It's just like anything in life. You got to be prepared, So that phone may ring as soon as I'm done with you guys, or I may get an email tomorrow. I'm ready to go. My car's in good condition. I'm ready to go. My clothes are all set up. I'm in decent shape. So if I get an audition that says, Steven, you got to be here tomorrow or over there or whatever, guess what? I'm in. I'm ready to go. And, right now is a very tough time in the industry, and it's easy to get depressed or down on yourself, or if you're struggling, I get it. So you've got to find ways to keep you going every day. One of the little tricks I do every day is like, I'll turn on comedy for at least an hour or 2 hours later in the evening or whatever, and watch something just crazy funny. And, that'll keep you going. Or, if you got friends who are funny or entertaining, that'll keep you going. And I know sometimes, you're living from hand to mouth or paycheck to paycheck. Things can get dicey, in this industry. So if you got friends you can lean on, do it. And make sure that when or if things hit for you, take care of them on the backside. But overall, it's a good industry. So, stick it out. So I'm going to wrap up this first episode with just those few questions. So I'll be back. This is our debut. So give us a little chance, and I'll have more questions for you, and we'll be touching base. All right, guys, take care.